Beijing, China's support for tougher sanctions against North Korea has been prompted in part by concerns of an evolving US-anchored missile defense system on its borders, say Chinese and Western analysts. The missile defense systems involve new land and sea-based radar systems, missile interceptors and intelligence sharing between the U.S. and its regional allies, which is aimed at shooting down the North Korean missile during the relatively low-velocity launch phase. Analysts note that these systems could also be used to shoot down missiles launched from China's eastern regions. Australia is building 3 air warfare destroyers with Aegis radar and missile control systems that can be potentially integrated into the U.S. system. North Korea's test of a nuclear warhead and missile may not bring much of a direct threat to China, said Cai, the North Korea expert at Shanghai's Fudan University. But the response from Japan or South Korea, or America's strategic advances into the region, are more disadvantageous to China. These are the reasons China opposes North Korea's tests. The sanctions against last month's nuclear test by North Korea were jointly directed by China and the U.S. and endorsed by the UN Security Council on Thursday night. They will make it more difficult for Pyongyang to shift money and technology in aid of its nuclear program. These sanctions will bite and bite hard, said Susan Rice, the U.S. ambassador to the UN. The UN resolution follows Pyongyang's successful ballistic missile test in December as well as a colorful stream of bellicose invective, even by its standards. Prior to the agreement, Pyongyang threatened to turn South Korea into a sea of flames. Several analysts said the effectiveness of the sanctions would depend on China adopting a far greater level of enforcement than it has previously. Regional missile defense systems are evolving in response to North Korea's weapons program and also to increasing concerns about China's military intentions. It allows Japan to say, "We're building a missile defense systems against North Korea, but we can also use it to defend ourselves against China," said Scott Harold, a security expert with the Rand Corporation in Hong Kong. Dr. Harold said the U.S. has been strongly encouraging South Korea and Japan to engage in defense cooperation. Beijing is worried that this is a prelude to a trilateral alliance or Pacific version of NATO, he said. Those defense systems may, in turn, prompt China to build more missiles. The overall direction in which missile defense is going means the U.S., Japan, probably South Korea and Australia, get used to and work on the basis of integrating their systems, said Stephen Fruling, an expert on missile defense systems at the Australian National University's Strategic and Defence Studies Centre. This has political implications and symbolism, and that is what is causing China grief, he said. Sam Roggeveen, editor of the Lowy Institute's The Interpreter website, said there was a risk of a regional ballistic missile and ballistic missile defense race. The easiest way to defeat ballistic missile defenses is to overwhelm them with numbers, he said. Chinese analysts say Beijing's backing of the new round of unsanctions reflects frustration with North Korea but not a shift in its underlying strategic calculus. "People are fed up with North Korea, but I'm not sure this signifies the new age," said Jiaqing Ga, professor of international relations at Peking University. China's policies are in a transitional period. China is in a transitional period, and I think this period might be quite long.